everyone, it's Silvia. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go through a number of decks that I'm going to rehome. So just a clarification, if you're a member of my channel, you have priority access to this video. That will give you around 1 week time in order to, if you want to, get in touch with me in regards to if there's a deck that you're interested in that I'm going to show today. And also for full disclosure, so this is not a giveaway, because the last time that I published this video publicly, I received 4 or 5 requests for decks for free. So I do giveaways quite often, to be honest. I mean, the latest one is because I've reached 5,000 subscribers, and so I decided to do a giveaway. And if you haven't entered yet, there is still time at the time of publishing this video. But this is not a giveaway, so I, in many cases, well, in all of the cases, I paid for these decks. Generally speaking, I do not rehome decks that have been gifted or decks that have been given for review. Only rarely I do that. And if I do, if I don't want to keep a deck that has been sent by the creator for review, I generally speaking decide to swap it for another deck. So the decks that you're going to see today in this video and in all of the following videos where I rehome a deck, these are all decks that I've actually paid for. And I would not be a good economist if I just gave them out for free. And as I said, I do organize giveaways, but this is not such a thing. So there's many of them because I haven't done a rehoming for a while, but I honestly think that some of them were part of a recent or a video from probably a couple of months ago, which I had to put them back in the list because I haven't been selling them. So what I'm going to show you today are just the ones that I don't think were in that video. So I'm going to start with the indie decks, and indie decks are the ones that I invite also people from overseas to reach out, because when I rehome a mass market deck, trust me, it's really not convenient for you to reach out if you don't live in Australia, because the shipping costs will be horrendous. So when it comes to indie decks, especially when they're out of print, then of course, let me know. So the first one is the Coffee and Taro. And let me just say, as I always say in these videos, this is absolutely not reflecting on the decks that I'm rehoming. It's not that I don't like them. There's always a reason why I have decided to rehome them. 90% of the time is because I worked a lot with them and I don't use them anymore, and I just want them to go to someone who's going to work with them. Just honoring them and not leaving them on the shelf gathering dust like I do. So this was a Kickstarter campaign from, I believe, last year. Coffee and Taro, as I said. Fantastic bags. I mean, look at these bags. They're absolutely amazing. Caramel color with these really cute cups with coffee or cappuccino inside. Really cute. And the cardstock is amazing. Really like this. And these are the cards. So obviously it's a coffee themed deck, as you can expect it to be. Coffee and Taro. I believe that the creators are Australian, so this is the Sydney Harbour Bridge, by the way. And I believe that they live in Queensland though, and I also believe that they have a Facebook page which is also called Coffee and Taro. So if you belong to a Facebook page called Coffee and Taro, these are the creators of this deck, as you can see. So really, if you love coffee, this is probably the deck for you. I really recommend it. Then moving on, you will notice that I'm actually going to be rather quick today in this video, simply because I just want to show you the decks that I'm going to rehome. So another one is the Mood deck. This is a tarot deck, but it's very special because each and every one of the cards, which by the way are based on the RWS, so this is technically an RWS clone, But as you can see, each and every card has got cartoonish like sentences that people say, that characters in the cards are saying, and or something like this, but there's always something added, so it's almost as if you were an ad lib, let's say. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this deck whenever I got it the first time. I was playing with it a lot because it's obviously one of those decks that is very specific. It's very sassy, it's very tongue-in-cheek. As you can see, some of the cards, there's curses as well, so obviously I'm not gonna repeat them out loud, because I don't know if you notice, guys, but let's say that the algos on social media lately have become really strict, very strict. I almost got flagged on Facebook for posting a sumo tournament, a video of a sumo tournament. So if you're not familiar with what sumo is, it is a fantastic practice from Japan. It is ingrained in the culture. It is a fantastic event, really emotional. I was so very lucky to assist to a sumo tournament because it's incredibly difficult to get the tickets. And so I was really lucky, and I posted a video, and I received a flag because obviously the wrestlers, so the athletes, for the code dictates that they only wear a loincloth. And obviously that shows a lot of skin, and because of that the video had been flagged, so I received a warning, as in they did not remove the video, because then probably a human reviewed it and they understood what it was, but they said that. So I received the automatic warning that it had been flagged, and I'm like, if I can't even show sports on Facebook, I don't know what I can show anymore. So obviously when it comes to curses, I'm not gonna repeat them, but this deck is up for grabs if you like it. It's really tongue-in-cheek, really sassy. It's just that after a while you kind of get used to the cards, especially when you use it a lot like I did. You get used to the cards, and sassy is beautiful and done right when it changes, but obviously this one cannot change. So after a while you kind of get tired of the sassy content. So this one, I've talked about this one already. Apologies if you've already watched the video in which I was talking about this deck and why I was rehoming it. It's just too difficult for me. You know what, I have reached that age in which I can actually say it. I don't understand this deck, okay? I can admire it, and I certainly do. And I find it interesting, absolutely. But I will never forget that one of you, when I was presenting an unboxing of this deck, pointed out one of the cards. I'm not going to repeat which card it was, but one of you pointed out one of these cards, saying that it was really poor taste to have a character depicted in one of these cards, such a character. That was a person that actually existed and caused a lot of trouble, but caused a lot of deaths and a lot of pain, as you can imagine. And you know what, there might be a reason behind the choice for that person to be on the card, for sure, and maybe I should be open-minded, and I'm trying to be, but there's absolutely no explanation as to why there are certain characters or certain thematics on the cards. And so without a guidebook, I'm sorry, but this deck is just too difficult for me, and I'm not using it. I'm not even trying to use it, and I'm sure that if I had a lot more time in order to dive deeper into the cards, I would probably understand some more, but I just don't have that time, and I don't even have the motivation to do so. And it's a pity, because this used to be a deck that used to sell for $700-800, and then it had been reprinted, and now it sells for like $30. And you see these kind of things happening all the time. The only card that I actually really like is Hannah Arendt, Queen of Wands. She's a fantastic writer. I've read many of her books. Fantastic person as well. So I am actually really happy that there is a card that represents Hannah. But even so, I would have loved to have an explanation as to why she's the Queen of Wands. As a matter of fact, in her life, she did, apart from being a writer, she actually decided not to be under the spotlight. So that is quite the opposite of a Queen of Wands, but I can see why you identify the let's say the archetype of the performer with the Queen of Wands. So I can see it, but I would have loved the description. And unfortunately, I have yet to find a decent, let's say, book or dissertation or anything that will give me insights into this deck. So it's going to someone who's going to understand it more than I do and use it more than I do, or someone. This is not the collector's edition, of course not, otherwise I would keep it, you understand. This is just the mass market $30 Australian worth of deck. Then moving on to another couple of indie decks. That this is kind of breaking my heart, but I just have to be honest with myself, I don't use them. These are the Voynich Oracle and the Voynich Tarot, and they're both based on the Voynich manuscript. So this manuscript has been, it's a real manuscript that has been found, and it's written in codex, and it has yet to be deciphered. So it is super duper interesting, the idea behind it. And these are taken from some of the illustrations that you can find in the manuscript. So I'm just going to show you both the decks at the same time. These are amazing, they're beautiful. I've got nothing against them, but the problem is that I honestly do not use it. I have not found yet, let's say, a space to use these two decks. Obviously they're very similar, and so you can use them together like this if you so wish. There's nothing bad with them, nothing wrong with them. The cardstock is really good. The production was really good. It was a Kickstarter campaign from probably a couple of years ago. It went very smoothly. I have absolutely no bad memories associated with these. I'm just rehoming them because I feel like I'm doing it a disservice to both of them not to use them. If there is one thing that I can say that I'm not 100% on board with, is the choice of the font for the titles of the oracle cards. But this is just a personal opinion, this is just me. I just find them a bit distracting at times. It would have been so much better had the creator chosen the same title, the same font as the tarot cards. But as I said, just such a tiny, insignificant detail, and it really doesn't change the experience. It does slightly for me, but not to the point that I want to rehome this deck. So why do I want to rehome it? I don't use it. It's a pity for me not to use it. It's a pity for someone who would love this deck not to have it and love it. And so that's the reason why I'm doing this. As you can see, the Oracle deck has got a lot of keywords, which is really, really good. I generally always appreciate when a creator does that, because they're giving us their opinion on the card, and it's always welcome. By the way, I don't know why, but it just came to mind that I was browsing the so I have to recreate every 3 or 4 months. I do a wish list kind of video, and I'm preparing for that video. And I was browsing the Amazon US website, and I saw that in the future, so probably next year, there's going to be a June deck that is going to be published. So June, if you're not familiar with June, is the saga written by Frank Herbert back in the 60s and 70s, I believe, if I'm not wrong. It was also made into movies a few times, the latest time by Villeneuve, the director, with Timothée Chalamet. So there's a number of actors, obviously, that made those movies really, really incredible. And regardless of that, though, something that has always been fascinating for me was the Bene Gesserit. So obviously, Paul's mother is a Bene Gesserit, so she is a psychic. She's presented as a white witch. So she has powers, but she can also read the mind. She can also influence the minds of others. And I always thought that it would have been a fascinating topic to have a tarot based on. And it looks like the June tarot is based on that. But then I looked at a few of the examples of the cards, and I just couldn't see it. But it's something to be, on the lookout for. Then moving on to other decks, and I'm going to be very quick here, but these are actually decks that, well, this one is not an indie deck. It's a mass market deck. It's the Dark Goddesses Oracle deck by Caitlin McCarthy. And again, I'm really sorry to say this. I really loved it when I bought this deck. I was really looking forward to receive it. I was looking forward to read with this deck, to use it. And then I just don't use it. It's just staying on the shelf. It's gathering dust. You have to understand that I also have almost 600 decks in my collection. And I do have rules. So for example, I never rehome a, let's say a collectible item, unless I have a copy of it, obviously. So I can rehome indie decks if they're not collectibles, let's put it this way. But I also don't keep myself too tight to the rules, in the sense that if I see that a deck just doesn't fit in my collection for whatever reason, I would just decide to rehome it. And it's something that I'm doing out of respect. I really want this to be clear. This is out of respect, because having a deck and not even a collectible item, but having it just gather dust on the shelves, it's really disrespectful for the decks. These decks have been made to be used. They're not being made just to sit pretty. And if I don't use them, it means that at that time I'm not bonding with them, and it means that they might be bonding more, definitely more, with somebody else. And I need to be honest with myself, and I need to give other people the possibility to enjoy these decks. So that's the reason why I'm rehoming that deck. And then there's other reasons why I might rehome a deck. For example, these two here. So the Pathwork Oracle. And I know that this is gonna come as a surprise. How is it possible that I'm rehoming a deck with the artwork by Anna Torian, which is my favorite, I know. But there's something else to be said. Anna is very prolific. She's already finished another Oracle deck. There's going to be the Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot deck that is going to be produced and released mass market by Blue Angel in a couple of months. So there's a number of decks that are coming our way with Anna's artwork. It's just that I have used this deck so much that now I feel like I don't even want to keep it. I just feel like it's a mass market deck, it's not expensive, and I just feel like I want somebody else to have it. And the Cosmic Crossroads, so there's something else that I wanted to say. I do post a lot of videos for my members. Generally speaking, I post 2 videos every week for my members, and I use a lot of decks. And so whenever there's a deck that we use for some specific part of our practice together, when I finished using it, and it's a mass market deck, and it could be an Oracle deck, and it could be very affordable, then I just decide to rehome it if I don't see myself using it in the immediate future. So this deck, because I also need to be mindful of logistics and space, and having 600 decks means that I have to make space for them, and sometimes I have to rehome some of them, and this is the case for the Cosmic Crossroads Oracle. As I said, used it with my members, fantastic. And the Pathwork Oracle, I really enjoyed my time with this deck. Look at the backs, by the way, they are amazing. I mean, look at these backs, aren't they just absolutely gorgeous? There is something really special about them. I really love them. And when it comes to the cards, so this is really a working deck. I don't know how else to explain this. It is divided, the cards are divided into categories, and it is, let's say, parts of your practice that are reflected into the categories. So at the beginning, I was using them in order because I wanted to go through the chronological order of how the categories were presented. And I did a full tour of the whole deck with meditation and also, let's say, journaling, and also actual practices. I have taken inspiration from this deck for many of the practices that I use in my videos with the Starlight members, because we're doing a lot of work related to spiritualism and, let's say, practices that we can find in our day-to-day life. And so I use these cards a lot for inspiration, and then I used them, pulling them at random, and I went through the deck probably another time. So I would have to say I feel like I've done my work with this deck, and now it's time for this deck to go to somebody else for them to do the same type of work, or even not. If you just want the deck because you like it, it's absolutely fine. And then another couple of decks that will come as a surprise, but it's just that I really have to be honest with myself and I'm not using them. So the Inner Child Oracle, this one is, the reason why I'm rehoming this one is because I have been gifted another copy. So this is the copy that I actually bought, so I'm not gifting the gift. I'm not rehoming the gift, I am keeping the gift. And the Unity Oracle, it's just that I have just come to terms with the fact that I'm too old to just force myself to resonate with decks that, because the cards are completely different one from the other, they just don't click for me. And so this is me forcing myself to rehome this deck, even though I have second thoughts. And let's just have a look at the cards. So this is the Unique Oracle by Blue Angel. It's been published a couple of months ago. And it was an amazing effort by a number of different artists, and you'll be able to recognize them. So JPG, obviously, very, very typical. So Rasuli. So I feel like these are fantastic cards. That's Whitehurst, I think. These are fantastic cards. They're really beautiful, apart from one or two that I don't particularly like them, simply because I probably don't like the art style in general, or that creator or that illustrator. But at the same time, they are so different one from the other that this deck, Odonovan, by the way, this deck doesn't communicate with me, or okay, let me rephrase that. It is my fault. It's not the deck's fault. It is my fault. It is my bad. I cannot feel the soul of the deck. And that is probably one of the saddest things that I have to say about myself not resonating with the deck. When I cannot, when I cannot feel the soul of the deck, that it really doesn't make sense for me to just hog the deck and keep it on my shelves. I really have to rehome it because it will resonate with somebody else. And if I don't do it, then I will forever feel guilty. And it just doesn't make sense for me to keep it. Even though, as I said, fantastic, really beautiful. And by the way, Blue Angel lately with this cardstock, oh my God, are they nailing it. This is so luxurious. It feels amazing. It's very soft at the touch, not the, let's say, the silky soft of a glossy cardstock. It is still matte, but it's that gloss. It is that soft. So it's an amazing feat. Really well accomplished. But as I said, so this one is going to be rehomed. You do have the name of the artist on the guidebook, by the way. It would have been very nice to have it on the cards as well. But I do recognize many of them. And as I was saying, this one as well, and I know, I mean, I'm really sorry about this one, but again, this has been gifted to me, and so I'm keeping the card, the deck that has been gifted. This is incredibly beautiful, incredibly soft, incredibly kind, very, very sweet deck. Because, obviously, because of the character that is depicting. And I do believe that this is a fantastic deck to do some kind of inner child, healing the wound kind of work with your inner child, because not all of the inner child work can be done with all of the decks. But I would definitely recommend this one. This is obviously, I think it's a Blue Angel deck. Blue Gaia, which is a subsidiary of Blue Angel. So if you have the possibility to buy it, I'm not going to send this overseas. So if you're overseas, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to send you this because it's probably going to be $10 for the deck and $50 for the shipping. So it really doesn't make sense. But if you're in Australia, please reach out and I will let you know. So that will be it for now. I would say that these are the decks that I'm rehoming. There's a lot more. So if you're in Australia, you're probably going to see a post of mine in about 10 days because I need to give time to the members first and then the subscribers to reach out to me and let me know if they're interested in one of these decks. And then the ones remaining, I will be selling them through the usual Facebook group that I'm part of here in Australia. So if you're in Australia, you might be able to see them. For now, have a great day.